Consistency, it's not the flashiest workout or the most restrictive nutrition strategy or the most expensive personal trainer. Consistency, showing up every single day, whether you feel like it or not, that is the most important thing for people to bear in mind when they step into the gym.
Another episode, Let's Eat Plants. I'm your host, KD. Today, we have a special guest. She's a fitness trainer for 17 years. She's been vegan for 9.5 years. Welcome, Kate. How you doing?
Kadeem, I am awesome. I'm happy to be here with you.
Man, that's good. That's good. So let's get straight to it. So what I want to ask is, what made you put the meat down?
So I originally put the meat down over 30 years ago. I became vegetarian for the animals when I was 16 years old. I didn't want those individuals to die for my food choices. And sadly, it would be a
Okay.
further 23 years until I realized. I watched the documentary Cowspiracy and I realized that I was still eating eggs and dairy and animals were still dying for my food choices. And that is when I put all the animal products down and I became vegan.
Okay. So my reason for going vegan is a little different. I went vegan because I wanted to change my diet because of bad health runs in my family. I ain't do it for the animals. But since I did stop eating meat, I seen a difference of my weight and everything else. And what I want to ask you is, since you put the meat down for 30 something years ago, how does your body feels now?
Yeah, so the lightness that I have experienced is more a lightness in my heart and that unconscious pressure
Okay.
of or heaviness that you carry when you love animals like I did and do and most people do and you're still contributing to their suffering. From a health point of view, I've been a personal trainer for almost 2 decades now and I wasn't looking to overcome any health or weight issues. Really, what I was looking to do was to keep the same physique and strength and fitness as what I had achieved as a vegetarian. I was looking to maintain that with the
Okay.
vegan lifestyle. And absolutely, I was able to do that, am able to do that. I would say as well that the period of time that those animals stay off your plate, I know it's been about 5 years now, probably, I see this with so
hmm
many people, your heart starts
hmm
to open a little bit more to the plight of those animals, as well as the health and environmental aspects that got you into it, because you're no longer eating them. So you
Okay.
can make the connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to on the farm, and I don't see myself selling any animals because of my connection with animals. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm not trying to make nobody feel no type of way. But I don't know if I would stop wearing fur. I never owned a fur coat, but I always wanted one when I was a kid. So I'm trying not to get one. But if I make it big with this podcast, and you might see me walk around with a fur coat, I'm just give a disclaimer out. No, I'm joking. But go ahead. You go ahead. You can respond back if you like to.
All right, all right. You might cop some hate from all my angry vegan friends if you get around in that fur coat, just given the unnecessariness of it, right? Like I think there are some you can
Yeah.
get the coat with the exact same lux and amazing look
Okay.
without those animals being skinned. And leading horrific lives. So let's celebrate the huge podcast wins with a non animal skin coat.
You're right. I'm keeping it in mind. You're right. And what I want to ask too, since you a trainer and you hear people say you got to get your protein, you got to eat meat for protein, how do you respond back to that?
Do you know that was a fear of mine early days as well? I used to eat, those all those egg whites every single day and a decent amount of dairy. I worked in a very gym bro type of a gym, and the day I rocked in and announced that I'm going vegan, One of my colleagues said, well, goodbye lean muscle mass then. And thankfully, he was wrong. Absolutely, you can get all the protein you need from plants, not animals. It just takes learning some new skills, learning where that plant protein comes from, learning how to cook it. It's not hard. And learning what you love, right? So it's simple swaps like, your chicken for chickpeas, your beef for
No, okay.
lentils, your finding what you love, right? Having those meals that you already eat and those simple swaps to make them plant-based. Really, it's a lot. It's one of the easier parts of the lifestyle.
Yeah, and that's something I need to add more to my diet. I need to add the chickpeas and the green vegetables and stuff like that because I don't add that to my diet. I eat a lot of what do you call that word? Beyond meat and processed vegan food. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like eating too much of that, like I seen the difference. I see how my body reacts to it, especially with my stomach. But when I did went for like a whole month of eating on chickpeas and mushrooms and different other like real plant-based foods, I seen the difference of like my energy and my health. But it's just hard for me to put that down, which I'm going to do. So yeah.
So you made this huge lifestyle change not for the animals, you made it for your health. So absolutely you want to do the best that you possibly
Yeah.
can with those whole plant foods, right? And keep the transitional foods
Right.
just for convenience, just to a minimum. Some of my favorites are the plant-based burgers you make at home, which is so much more cost effective and so much more nutritious
Yeah.
for your body, right? Whether you favor the chickpeas, the
Right.
lentils, the quinoa, the tofu, limitless opportunities. And don't be fearful
Hmm.
if you have a bit of a recipe flop. I've had plenty of those over the years. You just stick with it and get better.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. I learned how to make mushroom chickpea burgers. If you haven't tried it, it's good. I learned from TikTok.
It's amazing. I learned most of my recipes from TikTok. Like we all give away free
Okay.
amazing recipes on YouTube, Instagram. There's just an
Yeah.
abundance of alternatives out there.
Yeah, yeah. And too, also I was talking to a friend too, and he told me he wanna like change his diet and he wanna eat more like more whole foods and plant-based foods. So there's people who's listening who wanna change their diet. What is your advice for them?
My advice is to get really clear on your why. So, yours is for your health. You have health issues that run
Right.
in the family, and that is pretty damn
Yeah.
powerful. Mine is for the animals. I don't want them to
Right.
suffer unnecessarily. I would say to the individual, get really clear on your why, build huge emotional intensity around that why, find people to follow who you respect their approach and you can imagine the way that they eat, the way that they exercise. That is a lifestyle that you could adopt. It's really important to have mentors. So many people have done this before us and they've done it really, really well. Let's learn from them so that you can avoid the mistakes that
Hmm.
some of us have made. So connect with the why is most important because early days, you're super full of like
Right.
motivation. That's going to wear thin, right? So you need that why for when
Yeah.
it gets a little bit struggle street and the motivation wears thin.
Definitely, definitely. That's some great advice. And also too, like I feel like, a lot of people have a misconception of being vegan. Like some vegan foods are nasty, I'm not gonna lie, but there are some good vegan foods that's really delicious, even when you make it homemade. And and what I want to ask you is, besides saving the animals, why do you believe people should stop eating meat?
I could talk for hours on why we don't need to eat meat, whether it's the animals that we've mentioned, whether it's the environmental impact. Our food system
Yeah.
is grossly inefficient and broken. We mow down huge areas of land to grow crops to feed animals. We then eat those animals, and only a fraction of the calories that have been fed to those animals then come out as meat. There is so much waste so far as the actual waste that those individuals create, like the cows, or the
Yeah.
parts of their body that we don't use, or the species that are out of home because of the land that we plow down to graze for animals that we then eat. We do the exact same with the ocean. It's just so incredibly wasteful. Whether it's the animals, the
Yeah.
environment, the impact on climate change, the impact on. I'll share my dear mum who became vegan after watching the documentary. She's not Cowspiracy. She actually watched a different documentary, and I'm blanking on it right now, which is incredible. But she was impacted
Is
by
it
the
called What the Health?
communities. Yeah, how did I blank on what the hell? She was
God, I seen that.
impacted
That
by
helped me
the
to change my diet.
She was impacted by the communities that lived around hog farms, for example, and the individual
Yeah.
humans that were impacted by feces being sprayed all over the land and the houses that they lived on and couldn't afford to move from. There's limitless reasons to not eat animals.
Yeah, definitely. And my reason for why I stopped eating animals, and besides the whole for my health, also too watching that documentary with the health, that changed my perspective. And also too for my own experience, like when I eat McDonald's or when I eat certain foods, I feel real sick afterwards. And since I changed my diet, I don't feel that way like I used to. Because certain fruits I would eat, I would feel nauseous. And but yeah, yeah, that's why I encourage people to put the meat down. And I know you're real big into fitness, so am I. I try to work out as much as I can. And what I want to ask you is, what's one thing you wish more people knew about? Let me rephrase that question. I said it totally wrong. What's one thing you wish more people knew before they step into the gym?
We cut out one thing I wish more people knew before.
They step into the gym.
Oh, okay. Nothing to do with veganism. I would say consistency is key. Consistency isn't that sexy. It's pretty damn boring, right? However, whether we're
Right.
talking
Right.
health, the gym, business, consistency, it's not the flashiest workout or the most restrictive nutrition strategy or the most expensive personal trainer. Consistency, showing up every single day, whether you feel like it or not, that is the most important thing for people to bear in mind when they step into the gym.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I catch myself, overthinking, being self-conscious, like, especially like my weight goes. Like I be focused on want to lose weight. And when I step on the scale, I get discouraged sometimes. And what I want to ask you is that for somebody like myself and anybody who's listening, what's your steps for what's your suggestion for someone not to get so discouraged or not to be so anxious to step on the weight scale?
I'm a fan of stepping on the scale once a week, absolute maximum. I never do it, but once a week maximum if you've got a
Okay.
body composition goal. And I also recommend focusing first on actions rather than results. So if you have a list of actions that are
Mm,
effective, that you stick with consistency, like prepping that whole food plant based meals, getting to the gym 4 to 5 times a week, walking every day, adequate sleep, focus on doing those actions, and then every single day is a win because you did those actions. That's a reference point for success. You're
okay.
building the habit, you're building the identity belief that I'm a person that does that. And then you don't get discouraged when you step on the scale and it's not right yet. It will get there. We just need to be a little bit more patient generally for the time it takes to get there.
No, that's good. And I really admire you because um please excuse me, no offense, but for your age, you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 48, 49 this year.
So, okay, that's a blessing because seeing you being active at your age, I really admire that because a lot of people, it's not like that. Like a lot of people will sit and let life pass them by, and you fit and active, and that's really good, and you give me more motivation to keep going. Hopefully, if I'm blessed enough to make it to that age, I want to keep having that consistency. Like you said, it's sexy, and it shows your discipline. So before we switch topics, like if anyone who want to lose weight, what's your suggestion to them?
So I would say again, connect with your why, drill down onto exactly what it's costing you, the way that living in your body, the way that life is right now, what is it costing you and how do you want it to be? How is that going to positively impact
Right.
your life and also the lives of the people you love most? Get really, really clear on that. Even more so, align it with your most important values and beliefs. And from there, I would say focus on an abundance with your whole plant foods. It's never about restriction. You're not going to starve your way to a fit, strong, healthy, energized body, but you're going to consume a colorful rainbow of diverse foods you love and get to the gym consistently. Ladies, don't be afraid of lifting heavy weights. Men, you too, obviously.
Hmm.
Whole
Right.
plant foods, consistent time in the gym, they're my best recommendations.
Okay, that's good. No, that's good. No, that's good. That's some good suggestions. And also too, to switch topics, you mentioned about going through a phase where you were a angry vegan. What was going on in your life during that time?
We cut out big time. I heard none of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, you opened up about going through a phase. You were you consider yourself a angry vegan. What was going on in your life during that time?
Yeah, so as I said, I've been vegetarian for the animals for 23 years, and I was really angry when I learnt that they had still been dying for my food choices, that I had been lied to, that we've all been lied to. I was also angry when I shared everything that I have learnt, and many vegans will relate to this. We expect that we go to our loved ones, our friends, our colleagues, and we share the horrors of what happens to animals and that they'll change too and they didn't. And that made me
Hmm.
angry as well. And then I started hanging out with other vegan
Uh,
animal rights activists. And that was amazing to spend time with like minded people. Yet also, it showed me the stark contrast between these other ethical vegans and the people I love in my life who are usually compassionate and weren't yet compassionate towards the animals. And that just made me angry. And I don't know if I would have
okay.
pulled myself out of that if, it wasn't for the toughest period of my life pulling me out of it.
Mm. So I'm assuming you had to I'm assuming you like stop talking to certain people who will continue to eat animal products and wearing furs and stuff like that.
No, not at all. That's not effective. I don't want to live in the little vegan bubble. If I don't
Okay.
interact with these individuals, I'm not going to be effective and impactful in creating the vegan world that I'm looking to create, right? So I would interact with them.
Right.
I would try to do it with compassion. I would bite my tongue so much, and that cost me a lot of energy. Um, However, I think it's
Okay.
important for us to still we need to be able to communicate with people who have different views to us, right? Whether it's animal rights or politics or
I agree.
religion. Yeah,
Agree.
we need to be able to talk.
Agree, because you do live in a time where, if you don't agree what I do or say, then they look at you as an enemy or, it's just like shit, we are, shit, I don't know how to say it, but I'm gonna be straightforward. Like, um, everyone have their own way of living and we gotta just accept it and, as long as it's not hurting us, I don't know. That's how I look at things. And
I'm
and
I'm still going to
yes,
plant my I'm still going to plant my gentle vegan seeds. I've just realized that, if you attack someone, they'll get defensive, and that's just not effective. And attacking someone's beliefs, like the food that they've grown up eating, the
right.
food that is how they show love, if you attack that, people take it very, very personally. And so I learned to just lead with deliciousness, to make amazing food and to share it generously, and bit by bit, plant those vegan
Yeah.
seeds when I could.
Yeah, because like for me, it's like, someone came to me about being an animal activist. And I was thinking about it, and I'm not gonna lie, like the black community, my community, to be straightforward with you, like they don't care about that type of stuff. Some do, some don't. I'm just being honest. So for me, it's like, I don't know if I could be one. And for two, I don't know how I would feel trying to, you know, influence someone to stop eating animal products because I feel like, some people get worked up about it. Same with pushing religion on someone. So it's just like, I don't know. So, but what's your advice for me if I decide to be an animal activist? Like, what can I do not to make a person feel like I'm pressuring them to leave the animal products alone?
Yeah, you've got to find what resonates with you, and that might change over time.
Yeah,
However, I am guessing that your
yeah,
community, that improving their health does resonate with them. And that's probably the angle that you lead with. You probably don't lead with animal rights and animal ethics and cruelty. More so, you probably lead with
right,
the huge health benefits of whole food plant
yeah,
based. I think that is the angle
right,
for most people, irrespective of where we live, what the color of our skin is. I think people are selfish generally, right? So our health is
right.
usually a really good in. And once our health is great, then our heart can open more to the plight of the animals, the environment, other people, all of that. But I think our health and the health of the people we love, the health of, their parents, their children, what is the example they are setting for their children? If they're obese and have multiple chronic conditions and they're going to pass that on to their children, everyone loves their children more than
All right.
anything. I think that would be pretty compelling.
No, definitely, because obesity runs in my family, and
Yeah.
watching my dad not take care of his health that influenced me to take care of my health, and if I'm blessed enough to make it to your age, I want to able to move around. I don't have any children yet, but I want to have kids, and I want to able to see them grow, and like I said, run around with them. And it's just very unfortunate when I see someone who don't take care of their health, especially at your age, and yeah, and you've been a trainer. You've been a trainer and you see these people who don't take care of their health. Like, how does that make you feel sometimes? Like, does it make you want to like pull them to the side and give them a piece of your mind respectfully to tell them like, hey, take care of your health? Like, how do you handle that? Because sometimes it gets me uneasy sometimes when I see people like that.
Yeah. Early days as a trainer, I learned the hard way. You can't care about someone's goal more than they do. You can't want it more than they do. They need to be all in. You give them the tools and the support and the
Mm,
accountability, and it's up to them to actually take some responsibility and take action. You can't force them to it. Now that I only coach vegans, it's a whole lot easier because I've got an ulterior motive. I'm not just there for their health, I'm there because I want a vegan world for the animals, for the environment, for all of the people. So, in the same way that I'm not focused purely on my health as an individual, I'm not focused purely on the health of the individual that I'm coaching. My vision is so much bigger.
yeah.
And that just makes it easy for me to
Hmm.
not get frustrated. I'm looking at the bigger picture.
Right. Right. No, that's good because like I used to get really frustrated with my dad. And me and my dad would like fight like cats and dogs about his health. And it's like what you said, you came on it, you came on it more than they wanted for themselves. But it was kind of difficult, especially especially with a loved one. Very frustrated, very frustrated. And I know you mentioned your father, he has bad health, correct?
He does, not as bad as I would expect that he would. He's been lucky so far. Do you know one of the weird
Okay.
things that as vegans, as animal rights activists, I've spoken to so many people, and the people we struggle to influence most are often the people we love most and are closest to. They don't want to hear the message from
Mm,
someone that close to them, particularly their daughter or son. Very often there's
I agree to that.
ego and fear and history involved, and very often we're not the right messenger, and it's not getting better at communicating because I've spoken to some of the most effective animal rights activists and their family didn't listen to them. So I spread my energy,
Mm,
spend my energy on the low hanging fruit, the people that are receptive and responsive and their hearts and minds
definitely.
are open to change. And if my dad comes to me, amazing, I'll be here for him. However, I'm not holding my breath.
No, I understand. I understand. No, no, I understand. I definitely understand. And you've been doing this for 2 decades, right? Working out.
Yeah.
Now, and I should have asked you this earlier. Like, what keeps you going? What keeps you being so consistent?
Yeah. I think I mentioned aligning your values with your goal early days, and that was huge for me. My values are freedom and integrity, and I see being able to rock around in a fit, strong, healthy body to have the energy to do what I want when I want. I see that as freedom. Integrity, if I'm a personal trainer or now a vegan health coach, if people are paying me money to coach them, then I better walk the talk and look the part, right? That is just integrity. And
Right.
so I've aligned it with my actions. But also, I'll be frank, I love the way a fit, strong body looks. And I want to be one of those people with the fit, strong body, not one of the people that don't have it.
Definitely. No, definitely, definitely. I definitely be like you when I'm 49. I turn 30 in a couple weeks and I want to be more I'm gonna put more energy into like, doing more what's that word I'm looking for? Calisthenics, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Oh, calisthenics. Yeah, like lifting weights, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna focus more on that because I know they say the older you get, you lose muscle mass or something like that.
The older you
So
get,
I don't
naturally
want to
you
be no
do.
weak weasel out here, you know?
100%. And you mentioned the age thing, you've
Okay,
mentioned it a
okay.
couple of times. In my 20s, all of my clients would say to me, it'll get harder in your 30s. In my 30s, all of my clients said to me, it'll get harder in your 40s. Now, in my late 40s, no one says that to me anymore because I know what works and I'm committed to it. And I've interviewed some amazing men and women in their 60s and 70s that are still in fantastic shape. So it's not an age thing, it's a
Mm.
mindset thing and a habit thing.
I agree to that. I agree to that. I agree to that because like I be playing basketball with certain people and they be like, "Oh yeah, we getting old." I'm like, "I'm not getting old. Yeah, I'm turning 30, but I ain't getting old." And then I remember someone saying that it's a mind thing, and by you telling me that, that's more confirmation to keep that in mind and keep going. And one of my last questions, a couple of my last questions before we wrap it up, I definitely want to ask you about this. We was talking about this on the phone, dealing with grief. Your mother passed away. How long ago your mom passed away?
3.5 years.
Wow, wow. So how do you deal with the grief of losing your mom?
It's a big question. Your early days, I know you're about a year in, and I can tell you it doesn't get easier. You just get better at coping with that huge gaping hole in your life, and it still comes in waves. And I think one of the things that did help me is my mum was such an amazing, warm, vibrant, generous, full of life individual. I looked up to her in so many ways.
All right.
And for me to try and be more like her in the world, she was a bright spark of happy in so many people's lives. And a part of my approach to animal rights advocacy and to being a vegan health coach is to honor her, to lead with love and compassion and deliciousness. And when I do that, I feel
Mm.
like, I'm honoring her. She's still with me. It doesn't get easy. It won't get easy. I know that now. But you just get better at handling it, I think.
I agree to that. I agree to that because some people, some people give me different responses. Like one person told me it gets better. One person told me it don't get better. But for my personal experience right now, it's going to be a year. It's more of I'm learning how to live with it.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to live with it. I can't say it's getting better. I just learn how to cope with it even better because I have my days. Because it'd be one day I'm good, the next hour I'm breaking down crying, the next 2 hours I'm good. It's just my emotions be all over the place, especially around my birthday coming up, because and especially Father's Day coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So that really been, yeah, that really been tough. What I want to ask too, if you, I know it may be a lot, but it'd be hard. I know it'd be hard for you to choose from, but what are one of the things that your mom taught you that you keep in mind till this day?
She always used to just tell me to smile because then people would at least know I was warm and happy. And that's how she was in the world. She
Okay,
wasn't about like superficial things, right? She was about the small things, which
okay.
actually are the big things. She was about relationships and she was about how you make people feel. And whether that was her family or whether it was some random stranger or someone she worked with, she was just amazing at making people feel good. And she was super genuine with that. And that's not me naturally, right?
Mm,
I'm a little bit more huge goals about the
yeah.
impact and business. And I guess I coach myself daily just to be more like her, that warm energy that came so naturally to her.
No, that's good. Yeah, one of the things my father taught me is how to deal with adversity. You know, I was, I wasn't good at that at a point in time in my life. Sometimes I was shut down. Sometimes if it get too hard, I don't do it, or I'm trying to find the easy. I try to, you know, do it the easy way. But I think that's something he taught me, and I understand why as I got older, because going through my own personal journey when he was alive, and I was going through certain things. I understand some of the things he say now, especially like dealing with the adversity and dealing with your emotions and stuff like that. Because I was real big going off of my emotions a lot, and I don't know. I wear uh my heart on my sleeve a lot,
That's a
and
good thing.
also, you know, yeah, yeah. But sometimes for me, it'd be a bad thing because I just didn't know how to control. Because like, it's not saying like I'm like Hawk where I'm just going like I'm breaking stuff. No, but it's just like. And they didn't know how to address things. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Um, or sometimes, like I said, I was shut down, and as a man, that I learned from my dad, it's just like you had to figure things out and keep pushing. Even with his death, that I keep pushing. And what I want to ask you is, how do you keep pushing? Since your mom passing.
I think shock happens for a reason. In the first however many months, I was in shock and I was working and not much more. And then you kind of come out of that fog of shock, and it's almost
Right.
surprising that you take joy in things again. I remember the first podcast interview I did, I kept going with them, but the first one I did where I was like, that was amazing. And I felt I was on such a high because it had been a really good conversation. And that was like joy that I hadn't felt for a few months. And I was like, wow, I can feel this again. Stuff is still important. It's not a disservice to her. It doesn't
Right.
mean I love or miss her any less, that I can still get joy. She would want me to get joy in things. And so I just reconnected with everything and everyone that was important, and kept going because that is what she would want. And
I agree.
that's how.
Yeah, same here. Same here. And I even, I'm asking, how did your mom pass away?
Mum had a brain aneurysm, so it was very sudden. It's not lifestyle or health related, it's just something out of the blue that actually can be genetic. And so I spoke to her at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning, like I did every single week. And at 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, I got the phone call from my father that I always thought I'd get from my mother. And I always thought it'd be, Katie, it's your father. But actually, it was, Kate, it's your
Yeah.
mother. And she was gone, just like that.
Oh wow, she had a brain aneurysm. I'm sorry to hear that. Um, wow, 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 wow. Do you know how? Did you know what triggered it? It just randomly happened.
No. Yeah, it can just be random. And I haven't dug into it too much because you don't want to know any what ifs, right? Like, there's no value in that. She's gone. Um, but, and it can happen in your 20s, it can happen in your 40s. It happened that
Yeah.
mum had just turned 70. Um, but yeah, there's no value in digging deeper with that for me.
Yeah, definitely. No, I understand. I understand. That's good that you have your own way of dealing with it and coping with it. And I'm glad that you coping with it in a healthy way. Most people that I know, they cope with it in a bad way, you know. And that's good that still being consistent, still living your life.
I have my moments. I certainly drank too much early days, and I certainly ignored all of my friends' early days, but I came out of the haze, and the
Oh,
things that have always been important are still important. And, that's where I'm at today.
yeah, shit. I mean, I'm gonna be straightforward with you. I was depressed eating. I
Yeah.
shut down. I didn't want to go to the gym. It was a lot because my dad death happened unexpectedly. He died from a heart
Yeah.
attack. I found him dead at home, and I was pre-recording my podcast after before he passed away, and he gave me some words of encouragement when I was telling him about my podcast. And yeah, that was really a shocker. I was talking to my sister about it a couple weeks ago, and I randomly we was talking. I'm like, dang, it's crazy. Dad not here no more. Like it's just kind of like unbelievable, you know? Yeah, very
It stays
unbelievable.
that way,
And
sadly.
yeah, it does. So these my two last questions I want to ask you. What your advice for someone who's feeling stuck right now because they having a hard time accepting a loved one death?
Well, that one's really tough because you're going to move through it. It's not fair. Life's not fair. All the cliches ring true. The good people go young. All of that rubbish. It is kind of true. I would say don't block your feelings. Feel your feelings. You know, some of us try to numb ourselves or not deal with it. That doesn't work.
Agree.
Journaling helped me. Like sitting with what I
Mm,
feel, writing about how I feel, that really did and does help again because you're facing up to the reality, not running away from it. And it doesn't make it easier. I guess it just gives you more clarity. But I would say be patient and kind
right.
to yourself, prioritize your health and food and exercise and the friends that make you feel good. I evicted a couple of friends that didn't make me feel good, that wanted me to go out partying again, and I wasn't up for that. So, the people that make you feel good, that support you, that move at your pace after grief, spend time with those people.
Definitely. Definitely. And like a lady had told me, she said, it takes a village when dealing with
Yeah,
grief. And when she
100%.
told me that, I definitely agree. Talk to like for me, I have close friends I can talk to.
Good.
I'm on a spiritual level, like, I'm close. I have a close relationship with God. That's what I choose to. Everybody got their own way going
Good.
about it. But I'm just still learning how to go about it in a healthy way because I don't want to like die with my father, because I seen how my dad handled his grief when his father passed, and he didn't handle it in the best way. And I believe that contribute to his death as well. Hate to say that, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, and this my last question. What advice would you give to someone who's angry, whether it's about the world, injustice, or it's just their own pain?
I mean, this is the advice that I give to myself when I'm still angry. And
Hmm.
generally, it's how effective is that? How's it working out for you? Tough love Kate just says, how is that working for you? Generally, it's not. Generally, it's not effective at getting you the change you're looking to see in the world. And certainly, it's not effective at having a joyful, fun, happy life. So that's the way I speak to
Right.
myself. If it resonates with anyone listening, amazing. Just question, is it effective? And what might you do instead?
Right. And also too, I can't believe I please forgive me. I should have asked you this from the beginning. And you said something that kind of touched me. You said you had to, I think one of the things you said, you were just reading the email, you had to learn how to move with love. Correct me if I'm is that what you had to
How,
do,
how
right?
to
Learn how to move with love?
lead with love. Lead with love, compassion, deliciousness.
Okay, so what like inspire you to move with love and that positive energy that you just mentioned?
Again, it's a way to honor my mum, but I also look at, I've interviewed hundreds of people now on my own podcast, and I look to the people that have the energy that I most respect, the people that I'm looking to be more like in the world, the people that I love to spend time with. And they're what I call open hearted,
Right.
and they lead with love, and that's their focus. And I genuinely think that is the way to be in the world, to let go of our
Agree.
hate and anger and frustration and lead with love.
Agree with that. And that's something I'm on a journey on moving with love and showing love. because it was point of time in my life I was dealing with a lot of bitterness after my dad passed away, with different stuff I'm not gonna get into, but that's something I want to learn how to lead with, because when I have that hatred in my heart, I have chest pains, and I'm it's just my mind be all like all over the place, and that's not how I want to live my life, and I don't want that to be my early death of me hating people, and I don't want that on my heart at all. So
It's not
yeah,
healthy, right? It's not fun. It's not healthy.
right. Right. It's not. It definitely is not. So, that's all the questions that I have. That's a call it all the like him talk. That's all the questions I have. I want to say thank you for taking the time out, and I'm looking forward to your success. Whatever I can do to help, please let me know. And I'm looking forward to doing this again with you.
Kadeem, this was awesome. It was so much fun. You might have a big editing job ahead of you with the connection, but I love the conversation. Thank you so much.
It's all good. I'm gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work.
Perfect.
Yeah, bet. Well, you take care.
You too. Cheers, Kadeem.